One Piece has been one of the longest running anime series, and it is only in the latest chapter that the Luffy's true powers have been realized with the awakening of his devil fruit. Finally, the most awaited Luffy Gear 5 has been unveiled in the form of Nika Nika No Mi, which was earlier misrepresented by the government as Gomu Gomu no Mi. The real potential of Luffy has finally been revealed in One Piece chapter 1044. It is one of the finest chapters of the series, easily cracking up to the top 5. With sheer brilliance, it paved a path for the Luffy's future endeavors. I am really excited to see this ability being used to the fullest. And in this gear, the opportunity for creativity is immense. Every time we have seen a new gear or form, things have gotten so much more exciting. Luffy's Gear 5 is the final one, and we believe that mastering this ability will lead Luffy to cracking his way through the endgame. First of all, let's see what Luffy's devil fruit really is and why government changed his name to hide it from the world. The awakening of Gomu Gomu no Mi, formerly known as Hito No Mi model Nika, grants the user's rubber-like body increased in strength and freedom, limited only by the user's imagination. It is for this sole reason that the user is said to become the embodiment of freedom, able to bring joy to the people around them and making it the most ridiculous power in the One Piece world. One of the most notable features of the awakening form is granting cartoon-like effects, not only to the user but also to the multiple people who are close enough to see or to be around that user, including their opponent. An example being eye-popping effect and cartoonish welts after the head injury. Also, while in this state, the user displays a grand state of elation, laughter and confidence. Since it is finally confirmed that Luffy's devil fruit is the Nika Nika No Mi, we can speculate on its ability in greater detail. Nika is the reference to the sun god. Luffy will now gain extensive control over his powers of rubber. Luffy will gain the ability to use resin too. Sengoku's human fruit allowed him to transform into Golden Buddha. In contrast, Luffy's fruit allows him to transform into representation of sun god Nika and harness all of his abilities. And as it was recently revealed in the latest chapter, the 5 elders realized and knew the trait that Gomu Gomu no Mi possesses and hence wanted to eliminate Luffy. They also clarified that for over 800 years, the world government has chased this fruit without much success. It could be made out from the recent chapters that Luffy has awakened a new power state according to the Oda sensei, which is only restricted by his imagination. Rubber is gonna continue to be the basis of his fruit ability, but in chapter 1044, even Kaido accepted that Luffy's transformation was typical of a Zoan type and not a Paramecia type. In this state, Luffy's heartbeat takes on a musical rhythm which has been described by Zunesha as the drums of liberation. His hairs and clothes turns white and his eyes glows with white rings, and the white clouds floats around his neck, similar to the clouds of steam that accompany him in Gear 4th. The amount of haki released from this form was enough that it could be felt all the way to the live pool in the Skull Dome, knocking out multiple beast pirates out in the process. The very sound of Luffy's heartbeat in this state could be heard all throughout the Onigashima, alarming several and alerting them to the fact that Luffy was alive and well. Earlier, Luffy's gear transformations were considered to be extension of his rubber abilities. However, since again it is confirmed that Luffy actually has a mythical Zoan type fruit, he can add a lot of abilities now. He already had the transformation until Gear 4th of Snake Man and Bounce Man, and now he has the powers of Sun God Nika in Gear 5. In this Gear 5, his powers are really working like a resin more than a rubber. For example, when he reactivated Gear 5 and took a hit to the head from Kaido's Hasaikai, his head wrapped around the weapon and its spikes. Or when Kaido tried to smash him into the ground, his body was simply squished and later returned to its original shape. Luffy is able to utilize both the limb inflation of Gear 3 and muscle inflation of Gear 4 without the need to pump air into his body first, which he first used against Kaido. He was able to increase his arm to an enormous size in order to grab Kaido's transformed body and yank him up out of the Skull Dome. With his enlarged limbs and muscles, Luffy could easily handle Kaido despite his enormous size, swinging him from side to side. Luffy can also perform the inflation over his entire body at once, transforming himself into a giant of massive size. Luffy's rubbery nature can be extended into the environment around him, as seen when Luffy stretched a section of roof and used it to bounce Kaido's Bolo Breath attack back at him. Interestingly enough, the altered terrain, while elastic, was neither burned nor melted by the Bolo Breath. Even though the attack was shown to be scoring hot and has enough explosive powers to destroy a castle or a mountain top, it was just simply thrown and reverted back at Kaido. Just like this, Luffy can affect his surroundings to the point where he can make surfaces like the ground beneath him rubbery to cushion himself from powerful blows, or even bounce off and launch himself off whatever his surface he wants to. This power also seems to be able to affect organic materials as well, as shown when Kaido literally swallowed Luffy whole and then proceeds to have his body expand and inflate along with Luffy's. This, coupled with Luffy's own transformed state, has been pointed out by the Kaido to be very unusual. That's maybe because due to the featuring elements of both Paramecia and Zoan Awakening. And there was an interesting technique that Luffy used in one of the recent chapters. Luffy used Gomu Gomu no Gigant, a technique where Luffy expands himself to the size of literal giants, as if activating Gear 3 on his entire body. The name of the technique follows the Gear 3 naming theme, but without anything after Gigant. There's also another technique which he used in the latest chapter, which is called as Gomu Gomu no Nawatobi. In this technique, the giant-sized Luffy grabbed Kaido in his dragon form and used Kaido's serpentine body as a skipping rope, and only these two techniques were enough to tell us what Luffy is capable of now. And the way now he handles Kaido's attacks with ease was really overwhelming to see, because since the Wano arc started, Luffy was nowhere near to beating Kaido even after learning Ryo. But suddenly after going into Gear 5, this happened. And maybe finally we can say now that with the awakening state of his Devil Fruit and Gear 5, Luffy is finally on Yonko level, or maybe even on par with that. What do you think about Luffy's Gear 5 and his Devil Fruit awakening? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And that's for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I post daily anime content about top 10 top 5 listings, anime reviews, recommendations, breakdowns and many more types of content like that. So if you are interested in anime, then make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And that's for today's video, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Sayonara.